Hello everybody and welcome once again to the SENA TV Web English Show, where we will visit different and wonderful places in the United States and learn more about the lives of the most famous Americans that had made an impact in our world. Here, you'll get to know more about the U.S. culture, tourism, and history. We invite you to join us on this amazing journey through the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be entertained.
Lunes de bilingüismo.
The United States is a melting pot of cultures, races, and languages. The music of this country reflects this multi-ethnic population. Besides rock and roll, the genre you already watched in one of our programs, people in the U.S. enjoy blues, jazz, hip-hop, style soul music, contemporary R&B, and country music, among others.
The music of the United States reflects its diversity and multi-ethnic population. Just take a look at the differences between hip-hop, blues, country, rhythm and blues, jazz, barbershop, pop, techno, and rock and roll that are the most popular U.S. genres known worldwide. With the coming of the 20th century, United States music attracted a global audience, leading it to become the scene of the largest music industry in the world. Traditional music in the USA is called folk music or roots music. Roots music refers to a broad category including bluegrass, gospel, old-time music, jug bands, Appalachian folk, blues, Cajun, and Native American music. It is called roots music because it served as the basis of various genres later developed in the United States, such as rock and roll, contemporary folk music, rhythm and blues, and jazz. The blues originated at the end of the 19th century in African American communities of the Deep South of the United States. The term the blues refers to the Blue Devils, that means melancholy and sadness. If you have ever watched a cowboy or western movie, you must have heard a country music song. Originating from western cowboy and folk music, country emerged in the 1920s in the rural southern United States as another popular American musical style. Also emerging during the early 20th century, one of the most well-known genres in the U.S. is jazz, the genre of the saxophone. This musical style came out of a mix of African and European music traditions at the beginning of the 20th century, and was also born in African American communities in the southern United States. R&B is a music genre that combines hip-hop, soul, and funk elements. The abbreviation R&B comes from traditional rhythm and blues music. However, currently the term R&B is often used to describe a style of African American music originating after the disappearance of disco music in the 1980s. Contemporary R&B vocalists are often known for their use of melisma, popularized by singers such as Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Whitney Houston, and Mariah Carey. There's another urban music style that is more an artistic subculture through a form of musical expression originated in African American and Hispanic American communities during the 1970s in New York City, specifically in the Bronx. Hip-hop. Hip-hop and rap have changed the way many adolescents, fans of these genres, live, act, and even dress, as it has permeated communities around the globe. All of these genres have experienced a development over the course of the history that has marked not only the United States, but the world's popular culture for the current and coming generations.
The man in our following segment became the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for his work to end racial segregation and racial discrimination through nonviolent methods inspired by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. His name is Martin Luther King, an American clergyman, activist, and prominent leader in the African American civil rights movements. He had a dream. Let's see what it was about.
On January 15th, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, a man was born who would go on to change the course of history for African Americans. Raised by a family of pastors, faith was an important part of his daily life. His name was Martin Luther King Jr. With his values, efforts, courage, and dreams, he changed the lives of millions of people. He fought as no one else had done for the rights of African American people. He attended various segregated public schools in Georgia, graduating from high school at the age of 15, eventually going on to receive a doctorate degree in systematic theology in 1955 from Boston University. In Boston, he met and later married Coretta Scott, with whom he had 4 children. They settled in Montgomery, Alabama, where King became the pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. He always strived for civil rights for the members of his race and became a member of the executive committee of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the leading organization of its kind in the nation. In December 1955, he accepted the leadership of the first biggest Negro nonviolent demonstration of contemporary times in the United States. It all began after a black woman named Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give her seat to a white man on a Montgomery City bus. This incident started a bus boycott that lasted 382 days. Due to his experience, passion for the cause, and position in the community, Martin Luther King had the credentials to emerge as the best African American leader during this long boycott. On December 21, 1956, after a key victory in the Supreme Court of the United States declaring segregation on the buses unconstitutional, black men and whites were treated as equal on board buses. This was a big victory for the civil rights cause, and King was proved right, as nonviolent methods of protests had achieved unbelievable results. After these historical outcomes, Martin Luther King Jr. became the national face of the civil rights cause. He was jailed more than 20 times, his home was bombed, he was exposed to personal abuse, and his family was endangered several times. However, the threats never stopped him. No matter what happened to him or how tough the situation was for him, Martin Luther King Jr. worked non-stop to promote the cause in which he so strongly believed. He wrote 5 books about his dream and dozens of articles. From 1957 to 1968, he traveled over 6 million miles, delivering 2,500 speeches wherever there was injustice, protest, and action. In these years, he led a massive protest in Birmingham, Alabama, that caught the attention of the entire world, providing what he called a coalition of conscience, and wrote Letter from a Birmingham Jail, a manifesto of the Negro Revolution, and planned the initiative in Alabama for the registration of black people as voters. His perseverance, hard work, efforts, and communication skills earned him the respect of President John F. Kennedy, who personally met with him. Among all the speeches that King delivered, none of them had so much echo and transcendence as his famous speech, "I Have a Dream."
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
He symbolically delivered his speech from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. in 1963, in front of 250,000 people, both black and white, who were part of the peaceful march he led that memorable day. Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded 5 honorary degrees and became such an influential man in America that he was named Man of the Year by Time Magazine in 1963. At the age of 35, he became the youngest man ever to win the Nobel Peace Prize. He turned over the prize money of $54,123 to the continuance of the civil rights movement. On the evening of April 4, 1968, while he was standing on the balcony of his motel room in Memphis, King was assassinated. But his dream didn't die with him. He believed more than anyone in America's democracy, in the Constitution, and in the principles of fairness and opportunity. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed a proclamation declaring the 3rd Monday of every January Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a public holiday to commemorate the life of this man and what he stood for. He became not only the symbolic leader of America's black people, but also, after his death, a world figure of inspiration and motivation to fulfill dreams and fight for freedom and equal rights. His dream came true. The United States of America proved him right when they changed history after electing in 2008 the first African American president in the history of the country, something that in his time was believed impossible.
We'll be right back after this short break with our special guest for today. This is SENA TV Web. Don't move.
Do you know the meaning of the expression, steal my thunder?
Ya regresamos con TV Web Educativa. Seguimos con TV Web Educativa.
Steal my thunder is when someone takes attention from your work or accomplishments to his or her own advantage. It is also when someone tries to upstage you. En español, la traducción literal es robarse mi rayo. Sin embargo, esta expresión se refiere a una persona que trata de apropiarse del trabajo de los demás o que se roba el show de otra persona. For example, she stole his thunder by playing Beethoven on the piano while he was playing Jingle Bells with the flute. She tried to steal her thunder by saying that the research was hers.
Many people in the world travel to countries where English is the official language. If you decide to travel or live in an English-speaking country, these tips and personal life experiences might come in handy.
Normally, I wake up about 6 a.m. I come to my office. I work from 6:30 or 7 to 7 or 8 p.m. In a normal day, I have to check the scripts because I'm director of a few programs, a few TV shows, so I have to check the scripts. I have to come to the recordings, to production, and I gotta check how the set is set. I have to check how the lights, if the lights are well positioned. It is hard to say since when I'm learning English because I don't know, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I started to study in some institutions when in Medellín, where I'm from. I went to New York City a couple of times to study for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months period. And then I went to Washington, D.C., and I was there like 8 months living there. Because when you live in another culture, when you are living with people from the United States in this case, you really understand the language. I was living with an American family in Arlington, Virginia, which is like a little town next to Washington, D.C., and they didn't speak Spanish at all. I mean, they didn't know a word of Spanish. In this moment that I work in TV, I've had to work with people from all over the world for transmissions and for broadcasts. And I've worked with people from Europe. You know, we broadcasted when I was working in a company here named Señal Colombia. It is really useful to speak English in this world of television. And another good part is that all settings you find in computers for editing or in these machines to broadcast, everything is written in English. So if you don't speak English, it could be a problem for you maybe later. I studied comunicación social, social communication in Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana in Medellín. Then I came to Bogota to study, I made a master's degree in television and a specialization in television. And then I went to Madrid, Spain to make a master and MBA in television business. When I lived in Europe, it was the English was really helpful as well. And I traveled all over Europe and everyone, almost everyone there, I mean the tourist people there, the touristic industry there, they all speak English. Hey, this is Angelo, he's our editor. And he's learning, but he's going well. How are you, Angelo? This is like the most important part of a TV show, that is the edition. Because here is where we put all the magic. I didn't study in a bilingual school. even though my school was, they had like not an emphasis, but they had a lot of English classes. When you go to an English-speaking country, you need to speak English to eat. I mean, you need to speak English to live. The first thing I recommend to people that want to learn English is you gotta watch TV in English. And if you have the possibility, like in this show, to hear what they're saying in English and to read these subtitles you can see here in English, it is so good because you can infer what they're talking about and you can read what they're saying. That is a good method to learn. Let's go to the master. The boys are in the master, they're doing nothing because in this very moment we're not recording anything, so let's go. Let's see what they do when the boss go there. They work so hard. These guys work here. This is the master, now it's all turned off. You see it and you handle the cameras, can handle the audio, you know, the microphones and all that stuff. When I worked in Spain, I used the English because, first of all, I was working with TV. So, as I told you, the machines and everything, you know, everything you need in television world, in television industry is written in English. My job was going with a camera and a microphone and ask people things in discos and restaurants. And a lot of times I had to talk with English people or to American people or, I don't know, Japanese people, and they speak English and we could communicate with each other in English. Some people say that English is a dying language and that we have to learn Chinese or something like that. But I don't know what is going to happen 50 or 100 years later, but in this very moment, English is the global language. Speaking English in this moment is not like a bonus plus. I mean, it's an obligation. If you gotta be a professional, a global professional, if you wanna travel, if you wanna work with other people in the world, you gotta speak English.
Located in the southeastern Louisiana, straddling the Mississippi River, this city is the birthplace of jazz and the home of Mardi Gras, the most famous carnival in the U.S. America's craziest cities are Las Vegas, New York, and guess what? The city you're going to see in our following segment, New Orleans.
In the state of Louisiana, you will find New Orleans, one of the world's most fascinating, craziest, and joyful cities. Immersed in a history of influences from Europe, the Caribbean, and Africa, New Orleans is a wonderful melting pot of culture, food, and music. Here you'll find brimming bowls of gumbo, late nights in jazz clubs, promenades and boats, strolls through historic neighborhoods, provocative festivals throughout the year, and America's greatest party, Mardi Gras. With just a population of 343,829 inhabitants, New Orleans is home not only to Mardi Gras, but Jazz and Heritage Festival, cultural celebrations, and professional sports teams. During your trip to New Orleans, you'll have the opportunity to taste some world-famous cuisine, savor specialty cocktails while dancing and enjoying some of the best live music in the world. Mardi Gras normally attracts 1 million partygoers to the streets of New Orleans every year. The 2010 French Quarter Festival in April 2010 had record attendance of 512,000 people, and the 2010 Essence Music Festival had approximately 400,000 attendees over the 3-day weekend. It has been said that an American has not seen the United States until he has seen Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Celebrated on February or March, it is without doubt the craziest and best time of the year to visit New Orleans. Thus, Mardi Gras has become America's greatest party. Mardi Gras happens every year 47 days before Easter. The parades usually follow a standard format, normally with the captain appearing at the head of the procession, followed by the officers, the king or queen, and in some parades, the maids and dukes, dozens of big floats, band members, dance groups, posses, clown units, and motorcycle squadrons with more than 3,000 participants. If you ever go to New Orleans, you must visit Bourbon Street. If you don't, it is like you have never even been there. Located in the French Quarter, New Orleans, Bourbon Street is probably one of the most famous and historic streets in the whole United States. The most popular part of Bourbon Street is Upper Bourbon Street, an 8-block section of popular tourist attractions. If you want to visit the best bars, restaurants, strip clubs, or souvenir shops, Bourbon Street will be your place to be in New Orleans. More than 8 million tourists enjoy each year one of America's most culturally and historically rich destinations. If New York is the city that never sleeps, New Orleans is the city that never stops partying. From bars that never seem to close, to Mardi Gras, to Jazz Fest, to Greek Fest. If you want to be a part of the craziest parties in the U.S., New Orleans is your place.
We'll be right back after this short break with more fun facts and entertainment. This is SENA TV Web. Don't move.
Do you know the meaning of the expression kick the bucket?
Ya regresamos con TV Web Educativa. Seguimos con TV Web Educativa.
Kick the bucket is an expression that means to die. En español, la traducción literal es darle una patada a un balde. Sin embargo, el verdadero significado de esta expresión es morirse. For example, Anna is really scared because Rocky is too sick and might end up kicking the bucket.
Hi everyone and welcome to our English tip for today. This lesson is part of the National Learning Service SENA bilingual programs and it is made for you. Today you will learn about phrasal verbs. Thank you, Philip. Los verbos preposicionales se encuentran compuestos por un verbo y una preposición. Hay que recordar que los verbos preposicionales no pueden ser nunca separados. Por ejemplo, wake up significa levantarse, fall down significa caerse, go out significa salir, take off es quitarse algo, bring up significa criar a alguien o mencionar algo, find out es descubrir algo, give up significa rendirse. Si se separa una palabra de la otra, pierden completamente el sentido de estas palabras, por lo que siempre deben ir juntas. Stay tuned to TV Web SENA so you can learn more English. Bye everyone. Thank you, Philip. Philip, be careful, you don't want to fall down.